it's not. So they're either either that or that, right?
The lower thing looks different.
Probably
Want to
not.
zoom in, Ed?
Yeah, let's zoom in on.
Yeah.
Little thorny head.
You think?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I can go in further.
Would that be the easier of the two? Oh, and there might be some bubbles
I
coming
think it's
out of here.
bacterial mat.
Yeah. Yeah, it does look kind of
Yeah.
fuzzy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on up there and look at this one. I hope that's not just
I'm not sure.
that could be bacterial mat too.
You got more zoom or?
No, that's it. That's the one.
Can we zoom in a little more? Or?
That was all he's got. I have to get closer to it.
We're a ways off from that.
Where'd the marker go?
It's off to the right.
Because I thought that, oh. Yeah, we'll have to get closer. That's a beautiful shot. All the starfish and thorny heads and bacterial mat and the marker, and looks like we have some clams. Same thing, right? Okay, we're just zooming in here to figure out whether or not these white rocky things are...
This is kind of a hard spot to land. We're in a pit.
We don't need to land. We just want to look at it.
No, I know, but I'm saying we're down in the pit. It's going to be hard to not disturb the bottom.
Yeah.
Of that.
It also looks like we got some bubbles about 2 meters off to the right.
Coming out.
Nice.
Bubbles.
That would be nice.
I saw them when we were a little higher. Yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
4 meters now. 45 to the right.
Let's, I see them as well. Can we go to the base of the marker and look?
Get yanked around a lot.
You need more? You need me closer?
No, we're right on top of one another here.
Yeah, we want to...
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, this one.
I guess you can come closer.
Okay.
Do you want that one, or...?
Good. I think we just have a lot of heave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bridge nav, 10 meters, 225.
We can look at these ones afterwards. I don't think that is actually hard weight. I'm not
10
sure.
meters, 225.
You want to zoom in again, Ed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty fuzzy.
That's a full zoom.
Oh, we can't be sure.
Maybe also, can we poke it, or is that the whole thing with sitting down? And
Okay, zoom out. It's just, it's down in this pit.
yeah.
So I'm gonna, if I get down in there, I'd make a big mess.
Okay, let's not do that right now. Yeah. And the ones further up, these guys, I guess they have a similar problem, but can we at least zoom in? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, we're hoping for success here. Okay, come on up. Oh, it's hard to say.
It looks like Met again, actually.
It does.
Yeah, I think it has been deceiving us. I don't think it's hydrate.
Okay, let's zoom up to the other spot
Zoom out
there.
ahead.
Off to the, yeah. This. It's just so weird though. It's such round blobs. It
Can you zoom in?
doesn't
Yeah.
look like
Mhm.
Matt typically looks. Now that looks more like ice. Although I'm just hoping.
No, I think it's also
What
Met.
would Matt form
Yeah.
on top of hydrate? We didn't see that last time.
Do you have a chance to poke this one, or is it the same situation?
Zoom out.
Can we poke that? We know you can do it.
Well, the good thing is the current's in our face, so all the dust is going away. That's good.
That's good.
But that we're also collecting it on the vehicle, so you know, when we move, it's gonna
6 of one, half a dozen of the
it's
other,
gonna
right?
come it's gonna come find us.
Well, we have all the way across Astoria Canyon to let it all go away. North Rim. Okay, we're gonna poke the bear and hope that it's hydrate.
All right, Ed, you want to zoom in?
Coming in with you.
Oops.
Coming out a little bit.
So we're poking this bright white patch.
Hoping it's hydrate.
Yeah, it's not.
Yes.
Oh.
Not.
What texture would hydrate have been?
Hard. Hard.
Hard.
Let's try poke the other
Okay.
one while you're there,
Kind of crunchy.
just to make me
Just mostly
better.
hard, yeah.
Okay.
like ice. Okay. We're convinced.
Yeah, starting
Shoot.
at 0.
Okay. So we have basically covered all of our waypoints in this area, Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to make a jaunt across the canyon and see what we see, or do you want to look around here more?
Have we looked already kind of on the other side of this pit?
Not
Pretty
really.
much. So we
Well,
can probably...
yeah, we did.
we did?
And then again, that's where we came around,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got the current to your back, so all the junk that's on the vehicle is going to come at us.
But if we get far enough away, Bob, and we just look at it from a distance,
Yeah.
can't we do that?
Yeah,
I mean, we can
if we
back.
spin around, we're going to have the current to our back, and the vehicle's got dirt all over it.
Yeah.
So it's going to get messy. That's all I'm saying.
It would be nice to get an idea of the larger area.
Yeah. And actually, also the marker, can we still see the number, or can we clean it off a little bit? I haven't seen it before. Does it look fairly clean?
It was 273. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
You
clean
can
by
see it in the
any
bubble.
stretch.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, it's 273.
Might be good to
Yeah.
try to get some of that off of there so that it doesn't fall down by next time we come back.
We have the
Yeah.
T-boss.
Okay, can you zoom out again?
Did you bring your scratcher pad?
No scrubby pad.
Maybe
No scrubby pad?
maybe
Oh.
a good shake would help. I
Just-
don't know.
A
The
little
magic
shake.
That's a
thing.
really good
Yes,
idea
Bob.
because over the years these things become encrusted and then they fall to the seafloor and
Yeah, we deployed it in 2016, and then in 2019 we cleaned off some of
Uh-huh.
it. It was very much covered like now, so it would be good for later. Yeah.
so that we can find it if we ever come
Mhm.
back here again.
Also the reflective stripes that are on it, so we
Uh-huh.
can see it from distance
Right.
already. Yeah, yeah, a little bit of a shake might help.
Hey. Gee, that helps. It's like a dog, you know? Just shake it off. A little bit. That was a good start.
Was that fun for you, Bob, to shake things?
I don't know.
Shake it up, Bob. All right. That helps a lot. Wow. Yeah, we've...
Let go, Fido, let go.
He's not letting go.
I did? Are you happy with that?
Heck
Yeah, it's a lot better.
It's a lot better.
Well, we got the loose bits off. This other
Yeah.
stuff's probably going to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Rough.
I think we just have to come back in 2 years again, and then we'll be good.
Check it tomorrow.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. No.
Ooh, standing up much better. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea to pull back and get a wider view of this whole area. Not just this mound, but sort of in the whole vicinity of all of the waypoints. Maybe the perimeter of all of the waypoints.
We could get up and look for bubbles, too. I think
Well,
we're
and
seeing
just,
some others around.
yeah, I mean, possibly move to the, whatever would be the best direction to circumvent the entire bunch of waypoints. All of these mounds. Not necessarily one at a time, but just the whole area.
We also have some whole area images from 2019 where we see all the instrument deployed. So I think it's interesting to compare how it's looking now like the whole overview compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of muck on us. So maybe,
Well, maybe you should go out there and shake it.
yeah.
Can you
So,
do that?
well, I want to be on the downstream side of this stuff.
Okay.
So I'll back up a little bit. And maybe we can come up and then just look around with the sonar.
No, we want the physical. We would like the
I'm
image.
just, I would like to get the mud off,
Oh.
especially if you want to circumnavigate this thing.
Yeah.
Because as we come around, all the dirt on the vehicle is going to just
Oh, yeah.
out in the view. And
Well, you do
we're not
what you
gonna
need
see
to do.
nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to move up a little, we can also look at the sonar, yes, while we are cleaning
yeah, that's
off.
what I was
Yeah,
suggesting.
that sounds like a good plan, yes.
I can shake off
And, yeah.
and look around with the sonars. Okay, coming up, Cody.
Roger.
That's so smart. 2 tasks at once.
We have
So-
something in the sonar over there, but I think that was the one we found earlier.
Yeah.
15 meters. About that.
Okay, so I'm going to sit right there. And then we're going to shake it off.
Take out your
Sorry,
tether wrap.
I'm going to be doing spinnies here.
Kylie, do you want to talk about what is on the bottom of Hercules that, what's the bottom of Herc look like? Why does it catch,
have-
why does it catch mud?
It's a fiberglass grating. So it's really good at collecting dirt, but it also protects the delicate underside of Herc.
How big are the holes in the grate?
They're like 1-inch squares.
Kind of similar. I mean, think about it like a lattice in your garden, maybe, except thicker.
And, as we set on the bottom, it's really loose stuff and it sits up on the porch. Gets everywhere. And then it takes a bit to get it off.
So it's doing some housekeeping here.
Feel free to send in your questions if you're following along with us. Let us know what you want to know about this work and what we're up to. Happy to have you with us all around the
I
world.
haven't seen the other ones. That's just
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm looking, try increase the range a bit, see if we can see anything further away.
Welcome to Cascadia Margin off of the Oregon coast.
Right now we're sitting right at the border between Oregon and Washington. Tamara and I were discussing whether or not we're in Oregon or Washington waters right now, but we're
Those bubbles
right
really
there
light
at
up
the
on
border.
that thing. Look at that.
Yeah.
We had a weather day yesterday, so we did a little bit of extra mapping
But I don't see anything
to the
else.
site.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Are we headed south or north? You had to make the guess. For the rest of the diving along the coast, are we headed up into Washington or back more into Oregon?
Probably closer to Washington, but I'm not quite sure actually on which side of the border we are right now, to be honest.
Tomorrow? No, she wants to know
tomorrow.
what we're doing.
Oh, tomorrow.
beyond
Yeah,
this.
in general.
Oh, yes, south again.
Awesome.
Not like in the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good. All good. Yeah, our expedition plan kind of in general is to hopscotch up the coast, looking at different sites along the margin, sort of from southern Oregon to northern Washington, right near the California border. Now, as always, expeditions are weather dependent, so we started a bit more in central Oregon and are just continuing to move around and pick out those sites based on what's possible with the wind and waves today.
Yeah, idealistically, we would have started at our southernmost site and moved north. You know, that way you don't waste as much time on transits. But the weather's just not cooperating, and especially our southern site, which is off of just south of Cape Blanco, which is the windiest place in Oregon. It's the westernmost point in Oregon. It's an absolutely beautiful spot, but it's notorious for wind. So we're hoping to get a little small window. We can dive there. There's a chance we can go there on Tuesday. So, and that's one of Tamara's favorites. Tamara's most interested in that site. So we're hoping that our lead scientist gets her the data she wants.
What about that one is particularly interesting to you?
We observed the anomaly in helium-3, helium-4 ratio at this spot that is indicating, or not exactly at that spot, but this is but a little bit north of that, and this is indicating some input of mantle gases like the deep connector to these methane seeps. The methane seeps typically don't have any input from the mantle, so they're more like in the sediment that is lying or on the crust.
Let it kind of
So we want to have,
Roger.
down, so don't come down with me.
we want to constrain this input a bit
I want to
better.
get yanked.
Okay. Okay.
And that area is where, if you extended the Blanco fracture zone, you're sitting there by the Gorda plate, which is a small microplate, sort of like the Juan de Fuca plate that we're sitting off of, but even smaller. And it's fracturing all up because it's a triple junction there between the North American plate, the Pacific plate, and the Gorda plate. So that's kind of the only spot on Cascadia margin where there are fairly frequent earthquakes.
Okay.
So it's the most active part of the margin, which might be the reason for the helium anomaly. I don't know.
Possibly. It's also kind of where we have the youngest seafloor underneath because it's closest to this fault or this
Right.
fracture zone. And
Oh,
also
yeah.
there are some buried basalt bodies that are underlying there. Silesia is one of them. So there are different options for from where the mantle helium could
Gotcha.
could be the source.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something for everyone on this expedition. You know, we're looking at this subduction zone and the scraping off of the sediments here, but we're looking at this in a lot of ways. The methane sinks that are generated by that action. We want to know what the chemistry is. What can we learn about the methane itself?
I'm at like almost 30 meters.
What are its origins? Is it coming from these deep connectors? Is it coming from some of the biologic processes that create methane as they decompose materials on the seafloor? But then we also want to know what kind of biological communities are supported by that chemistry. These are whole ecosystems fueled by these chemicals, and so we're taking a look at, clams, mussels, crab, shrimp, lobster. Yesterday, massive school of sablefish. All the things that are influenced there.
And of course, for the people that are doing the seafloor mapping out here, we're trying to add to our database because only about a little over 50% now of the Oregon, of the Cascadia margin has been mapped with this new technology where you can collect seafloor data and water column data at the same time, which allows us to have co-registered bathymetry, seafloor data, and water column data where we can find these bubble streams, which is my goal. I would like to see the whole entire margin mapped that way. But even speaking of older technologies, very little has been mapped in waters less than 200 meters. Okay, hold on a sec.
All right, question for the front row there. Someone says, do you think someday we could get an ROV into the moon, the oceans on Europa and Enceladus? Anybody have thoughts about robotic technology for exoplanets?
Easy.
Yeah.
It's an easy question for us.
It's an easy,
Yeah.
easy question,
So
but hard to do.
We've actually done some work with our colleagues at NASA and at Ames to use some parts of the Earth's oceans as a surrogate or analogy for
Where are we going? Right here?
developing technologies that can be used to explore.
Yeah.
Hadal zones,
Going
yeah.
right in this
Yeah.
area.
Hadal zones deeper than 6,500 meters.
And to see if other planets like moons in Europa
Mm-hmm.
have, how do you explore underwater on very, very distant areas?
Yeah, it's an
So,
exciting challenge. The mass of those
difficult,
planetary
yeah.
bodies, even though their oceans are deeper, the planetary mass is smaller, and so the total amount of pressure that anticipate encountering in those oceans under the ice is an analog for Earth's oceans,
Well, and
which is
you
awesome.
know, obviously oceans are 70% of the planet, and the the Pacific Ocean in particular is like 48% of the planet's. You know, so it really should have been called ocean instead of Earth. But we don't live on the ocean; we live on the land.
Yeah.
But it's I always find it amazing that we're
Yeah,
out
it should
there
be-
trying to find new life
see.
in space when 70% of our planet is ocean, and
Should be pretty close.
we know so little about it.
What
Yeah, there's
Barry?
an interesting TED talk that touches on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting to see all the different research angles that come together to tackle a question like that. As we have to think about going to Europe or Enceladus, like there are microbiology looking at the contamination, making sure we don't bring microbes from our own planet to there. There's an
Right.
incredible complex
There it is.
robotics
Okay,
to think
guys.
about.
So, excuse me.
No worries.
So the plan here is just to just to kind of circle. You don't want to go in there. Let's just go around the outside of where we've already been. See if we've missed anything in this area. We've pretty much looked over these mounds in here. So let's see if there's anything else in the area that might indicate that there's hydrate, or any bubble streams that we might see with hydrate associated. But I think we've already looked this area over, so let's just check around the perimeter and see if we're missing anything.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, the idea about bringing microbes
Yeah.
into space from Earth is
whole realm of study, and then the robotics and the technology is a whole realm. How do you core through ice and launch an ROV that can go through a borehole, or an autonomous vehicle through a borehole, and I know some colleagues working on those unique challenges, those unique parts of the problem. So taking something as big as how would we explore an ocean in an exoplanet or a deep solar system world, and that carves up into lots and lots of research questions.
well, and
start to
also,
sort out.
looking for intelligent life in space. Here we have these amazing cetaceans that are living in our oceans with brains that are how many times the size of ours, that we know are incredibly intelligent, and we expect them to be able to speak our language, try to teach them to speak our language instead of, I mean, I know there's people trying to figure out what their clicks and sounds mean, but you would think that that would be something that we would be really interested in, trying to figure out, because there is other intelligent life on this planet. Or elephants, for instance, we know that they're incredibly intelligent. And
I just read that crows understand the concept of zero.
and they have they have facial recognition. They're yeah. Crows understand the concept of zero. Like,
Yeah.
where's my popcorn?
Well, I think better than that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
Someone would like to know what the importance of finding seeps are. How do you explain why it's important
You want to zoom
to
in
find
then?
seeps?
Well, these methane seeps changed. They influence the chemistry in these areas. Methane does make the water more acidic. Um, oh, let's,
That looks promising, doesn't it? That white
it does sort of look
down
promising.
right
low.
behind that handle right there.
Probably it does look promising. Um, I'm not
What's
sure.
that down there?
It's
down a
probably
little bit.
more bacterial,
Yeah.
Matt. And I don't think it would be
That
easy to
looks like-
sample. We're really looking for something that's more exposed. So I think we should leave that, but it does look very promising. Well, the interesting thing is that we never even knew that any of these things existed out here until about, I mean, we knew that there were these old carbonate platforms. We knew that there were seep sites, probably, you know, not necessarily bubble streams pouring out of them, but these chemosynthetic communities. I think they were first discovered out here in 1975, 1976. It's sort of like a question like why is it important to study hydrothermal vents, or why is it important to study anything, really? You know, that's what science is about. It's about exploration. We want to know more about the Earth. We want to know more about the chemistry. We want to know how these seeps affect the ocean chemistry. I mean, there's a lot of life that is dependent on these as well. So, and we're also concerned about climate change and warming oceans. So we want to have a baseline so that we know whether or not the more and more of these seeps occur as the oceans warm, you know, which is a sort of a feedback loop. So I've had that question asked of me on why do we study underwater volcanoes? You know, it is research. You know, we want to expand our minds first off, but it is part of the geological and chemical processes of the Earth, and that's really important to our life. You know, to life in the sea. I just I think that science is important. I think that it expands our lives, it expands our minds, and also these seeps, these methane seeps, do infect the environment. And we
Yeah.
are also concerned whether or not, you know, in shallower water, whether or not the actual methane does escape from the sea surface into the air. And we know that methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas, more powerful than CO2. Doesn't last
You're
as
muted.
long, but then it turns into CO2 after about 20 years in the atmosphere, and that can last
Can you
hundreds of
zoom in?
years.
Yeah.
You seen something, Bob?
No, I'm just,
Yeah, look at all the beautiful, fluffy bacterial mat.
okay, zoom out.
Yeah, and in QJ, I mean, these environments are already connected to our life as well. We saw that yesterday with all the fish and the
Right.
corals. Many of the methane seeps have been designated as essential fish habitat. We know that commercially important fish and important fish in the ecosystem use these areas at different stages in their life. So and we often think about the deep sea as this kind of like alien landscape. The analogies we use are kind of push it very far away, like the frontier in the horizon. And it is those things, but it also is very closely tied to our life
Right.
already. And we're just, starting to know more about those systems.
The food we eat,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's a very good point. A lot of these methane seeps are tied with the central fisheries habitat, and just recently have been designated essential fisheries habitat on the West Coast. Okay, so
I think we've pretty much seen this.
have we pretty much seen it all? Been there, done that, Bob?
Yeah.
Yep, we're back to the marker. So I think at this point, we're going to go over to the north side of this canyon, where in 2019, there was a hydrate site. supposedly hydrate exploding out of the seafloor, but that does not mean literally exploding, but that was the log entry for it. So let's head on over to, let's see, waypoint 4, and let's travel along the canyon bottom. We don't need to pull up or anything. We'll see what's living on the seafloor. It's about, I think about 1.5 kilometers over there.
Waypoint 4.
Waypoint 4.
Has waypoint 4 been visited? So which log entries said?
Bearing 3-2.
This was from the 2019 dive set. No, when Tamara came out here with Amanda Demopoulos, who is from,
Coming around.
works for USGS in Gainesville, Florida. And she's been very helpful with us out here, giving us information about her dive here.
You got gauges recently?
Yeah.
So
Amanda
Every hour.
Demopoulos, Queen of Mud, familiar to the Nautilus audiences as well from a lot of
really?
expeditions.
yeah, so we thank you, Amanda. And we're going to find that hydrate and sample it.
I'll put this
We-
up to 20 for now. Is that
Hi,
okay?
gang. And we also found
Okay, you want to swap?
there were some bubble streams in that area as well. So we've got the perfect combination. We just have to find it.
All right, Taylor Ann, this is your biology moment. We're gonna ID so many things.
So ready for it.
Thanks, Bob. Where are you going?
Okay, this question came in a little bit earlier, but let's pull it back in now. What is the dream sea creature you'd like to see here along the seafloor?
Dream creature?
Yeah. Like what would you love to see as we take off and we're going to drive across the canyon floor here?
Well, sharks, of course.
Solid answer.
Everybody loves sharks.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
That's
Taylor
a good one.
In general, I would really like to see a coelacanth, which is like the oldest.
Oh, well,
source.
yeah.
I remember, this is really nerdy, but hey, I'm here, so I'm a nerd, right? I was playing Animal Crossing and caught one, and I want to see one in real life.
Yeah.
And obviously anywhere, if we like explored where Nautilus, the actual Nautiluses live, I would love to see a real live Nautilus. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they live here. Aren't they
No.
tropical?
They don't live
Of
here.
course, we've seen a lot of tropical things up here that we haven't seen before, so you never know.
Still should chat about that router pattern.
Okay, looks like this is a different pit, or is this the same one?
We've been here.
Okay,
That's
good.
our footprint, I think.
I would love to see a coelacanth. That would be
So we're setting up to travel across the Astoria Canyon to the
Yep,
north
our next
rim.
waypoint is bearing 3-2.
We've been
32,
kind of
Roger.
on the
Wait, 032?
canyon floor on the south
032?
side of it.
032.
Okay.
Now we're going to the canyon floor on the north side of the canyon, where we know this morning that there was an active bubble stream, and in 2019 there was a hydrate was sighted, and we have the positions for that. So
Anybody else have a super cool creature you'd love to see on the seafloor?
Giant Pacific octopus.
Yeah. Somebody else asked what's the coolest thing we've seen so far, and we had a couple great shots at seeing giant Pacific octopus on our previous dive. So I'm going to go with Ed, with double up on Ed's answer.
Nothing wrong with a GPO.
Bridge nav, 50 meters, bearing 032.
Taylor, do you have an idea on the jellyfish that are going by?
The reddish ones? Or
Mhm.
I do not. But I haven't noticed them. There are quite a
You're
few.
getting off the.
I should know.
There's
Well,
I know, I always
H1859
forget.
too.
Oh, and I found out about that sponge that we were saying that I was calling a
You're
Cheeto
going
sponge.
Oh,
Mhm.
032.
It's a heterocone.
Oh,
That's
no.
right.
That's,
mm,
I used to remember
Raj.
that, but forgot.
032. Ah.
I think they're Paralia rufescens. I
Paralia?
think they're the
Okay.
Paralia jellies that
That
we're
sounds
seeing.
familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, what have we got climb right in front of us on the seafloor?
I
Is
don't
that a shark
Might be.
know.
Is that a sablefish?
I can't.
Yeah, it's
Who
one
are
of
you?
the two.
or a dogfish or a sablefish?
It's right there. It's just
Probably a
the
It's plain.
sablefish.
Doesn't want you to know.
The video zoom.
Coming in. It's gone away.
We saw just an incredible number of
Come on.
sablefish on the Carbonate Ridge, as Megan was saying 2 days ago on our dive. It was amazing.
There's a picture of that on our Twitter account. If you're not following us on Twitter, check out EV Nautilus, at EV Nautilus.
There's the bubbles coming up. More, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's right. Video zoom.
Close.
Traffic jam. Gotta let the Paralia jelly go by.
Wow.
Coming out just a little bit.
Changed his mind. We go the other way.
Again.
Doing a little dance.
Oh, we see those all over out here too. What are the name of those?
Come on. Thank you.
Coming wide. Oh, wide.
So are
You
we?
have to lateral to make up for the
Yeah,
current
we
blowing
want
you
to.
However.
that way.
We want to be able to see the
Lateral.
seafloor while we're
The-
doing
The
this.
port,
Yeah.
I think we're
the
just
current's
got the
blowing pretty
Pushing.
strong.
camera aimed up, and that's why we can't see it.
Roger. Thanks, Ed.
There it is. The bottom of the ocean.
Can we get a little closer to the seafloor or not?
Yeah. 1 second.